teammate, Devin Mccourty, says he won't be attending either, saying the following in a text message to Time. I'm not going to the White House. Basic reason for me is I don't feel accepted in the White House. With the president having so many strong opinions and prejudices, I believe certain people might feel accepted while others will not. Will Kane is here with us, but I am starting with you, Max Kellerman. Your reaction to players choosing to skip their honorary visit to the White House?
Well, this is nothing new, first of all. And in spite of strong signals from the White House of authoritarian intentions, this remains a free country. And players, at the moment, are still allowed to skip that visit. And this is something that players have exercised in the Obama White House and others. They've decided, and I anticipate that increasingly there will be more protests of this White House and this president in particular.
By the way, just to interject, both white and black, Tom Brady, James Harrison.
Sure.
Just to name a few.
To me, it's less of a story that Bennett isn't going than it is the players and the people who choose to go. Because I hope that Martin Luther King was right when he said the moral arc of history is long, but it bends toward justice. I hope that's right. And history is watching, and I'm surprised that Bennett's boycott, if you will, or snub, is the story, because given what has gone on with this administration so far, and even the rhetoric in the campaign, I and Stephen A. and others said, hey, clean slate, let's see what happens, and then some things have happened since then. To me, the story is those who choose to go. History is watching.
Go ahead, Will.
Jake Arrieta. You said Tom Brady, James Harrison. This has been going back decades, from Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. There's a long, I don't know if I would call it tradition, but there is a long history of players not going to the White House for political reasons. Actually, I'm curious, where do you think I land on this?
Well, actually, you, Evan McMullin, the independent candidate from Utah, who's been very active on Twitter and in other places opposing it, David Frum and others, people who, the loyal opposition, who aren't strictly partisan, I believe, fall on the moral side.
Where do you think he is? Where do you think he is, Max?
I think that he would support someone not going to the White House in this case.
Absolutely correct.
Right.
I have no problem with someone, A, having a political opinion, and B, exercising that political opinion in the form of protest, in the form of speaking out. What I have a problem with is the requirement that others bend to your argument, that others bend to your position. Not your, Max Kellerman, your in the broad sense. Martellus Bennett holds an opinion. He clearly believes it somewhat deeply. I have no problem him exercising that opinion. You know, it's interesting. At the beginning of this football season, we had this same debate when it came to Colin Kaepernick and his decision to kneel during the national anthem. And I quite vocally on this show and others said I had a problem with that. But let me tell you the difference here and why I had a problem in one situation and not in the other. It's about the method, not the message. Set aside Colin Kaepernick's message, which is worthy of its own debate, but just simply the method. When Colin Kaepernick spoke, for me, what he indicted was something broad and deep. The idea of America, the flag, the national anthem, the deep-held moral ideas that are the underpinning of this country. That method that he chose to protest, I felt, was too broad of an indictment. It said too many things about too broad of a question, about too important of a concept when it comes to America. Quite the opposite. When it comes to Martellus Bennett, he is taking a specific stand against a specific person and a specific set of policies. Now, again, set aside the message. I don't know that I agree with Martellus Bennett from start to finish on the reasons he or Devin Mccourty would choose not to go to the White House. But I will support his method. He has a right. No one in this country has to appear and stand before power. We are not a king. Yet. We are not an aristocracy. It is not required of you to bend before power. And he chooses not to, and I will support his opinion, regardless of whether or not I agree or disagree.
Hopefully you two will enjoy this moment that I'm about to give to both of you, because I think it's very, very important to say. I agree with a lot of what you say, just not as passionate as you get about it because you assume everybody is as knowledgeable as you on certain subjects. That's all. But I applaud your soul and your conscience Same being said for you, even though our politics are obviously different. I feel the same way about you. When I heard about Martellus Bennett, I had a different take. Of course, it's his right not to go, and nobody's disputing that and what have you. But what I appreciated about him is that he was clear and specific as to why that was. And one of the things, and I lean back on my man Joe Madison, who hosts his show on the Urban View channel on Sirius XM, channel 126, every weekday morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Because he's a guy that used to be the former president of NAACP in Detroit and what have you, and he's an advocate. And one of the things that he constantly asks people is, number one, why do you feel this way? Explain yourself. And number two, what are you going to do about it? And when I think about African Americans, as it pertains to the positions that a lot of us are taking when it comes to Trump, I want to know why you feel that way. Forget how you feel. I want to know why. Because at that particular moment in time, I will be able to gauge where you are. See, what we have to concern ourselves with overall as a society is when we're willing to say, well, he's racist. Okay. Why? What exactly is it that he said that you have a problem with? Because if I ask you that question, if I ask you that question, I know you have an answer. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
I don't. No. What I'm saying to you, I know you have an answer.
Right. But do you feel? By the way, I don't believe that Trump is racist.
Exactly.
But I'm curious.
No, I don't
do you
either.
feel like
no.
That's not what I'm asking you. Do you feel like Devin Mccourty or Martellus Bennett have not given you the why?
I feel that they made an attempt to, which I'm cool with, because I don't know how much they were probed. I don't know how extensive their answer was. It's just a quote. So I understand that they may have given that answer, but we just may not have known it. What I'm saying is it's incredibly important that when we take public stances, too many people take public stances and they don't back it up. And I think it's easy to attach an ism to an abundance of people without being required to explain why you feel that way. So to me, you guys just saying they have a right not to go or whatever the case may be.
I want to respond specifically to something,
but I still want to know why specifically, not from them.
Something
but that's where I'm going.
It's not about partisan politics, by the way. It's about right and wrong. So, for example, when Colin Kaepernick, you brought it up earlier, had his protest, I supported even his method and a lot of what he was protesting. And yet when he had the Castro shirt on, who's all the way to the left, incidentally, right? Time out. That was stupid, right? And people, and I heard about that. Well, you can, no. It's not about politics. Why people like you didn't support Trump, even though the politics, the policy that you may get out of it, you may like. But it's about decency and, in fact, ethical behavior and morality. It's about something larger than politics. It's about right and wrong. And that goes for if it's on the left or the right. It has nothing to do, in fact, with policy or politics.
Can I just add one thing and take right or wrong out of it? Whether you choose
to... It does have something to do with policy.
Whether you choose to go to the White House or not, in my personal opinion, it's your prerogative, and this has nothing to do with where I stand politically. But sometimes it's not about Donald Trump. Sometimes it's about the experience in wanting to go to the White House and the history of it and other presidents, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So it's not
just... But if a president debases the office, then I would argue at a certain point...
It's not always saying I'm supporting Trump. It might be that I've earned this,
Molly,
and it's a once-in-a-lifetime.
In other words, everyone has you have a right to free speech and expression.
You're absolutely right. The experience in of itself is worth it to some. Max clearly feels like this is a situation where your feelings of right and wrong supersede whatever.
As yours do, but go ahead.
Well, look, man, I'll tell you this. Right and wrong are very important concepts, but they're not beyond the concept of disagreement. They can be disagreed upon, discussed,
but in this case, we happen to agree. But go ahead.
I'm not here to debate politics, to be honest. I'm here to debate whether or not people can say what they want to say and when they should be asked to explain themselves. One quick point to you. I think it's an interesting question. When you should be required to explain your why. We just had this debate, did we not, when it comes to Tom Brady? Yeah. And I'm not sure I know the bright dividing line of when you've injected yourself into a political debate or when you've simply decided I'm not going to go to the White House because it doesn't mesh with my feelings. I don't think, by the way, Tom Brady needed to explain a hat or a relationship. And by the way, I also don't think that Martellus Bennett has to explain his reasoning for not going to the White House. But I will agree with you this. There is a point where you've injected yourself so much into a debate. In fact, perhaps in some situations like Kaepernick, become the leader of a debate. And at that point, you need to know your why and explain it to us.
That's true. But also, if you are in the public eye and you decide to disseminate an opinion for public consumption, then ultimately that puts you in a position where everyone has a right to demand why you feel that way, because you took the liberty of injecting yourself publicly.
And one point has to be made, because one of the things that I guard against is this idea that what is happening right now is normal and business as usual. Do we agree that these are